how Shadowfax has established itself as a trailblazer in the logistics and supply chain sector. One of the unique strengths of Shadowfax is that they're completely tech-in, right? Could you share an insights on some of the initiatives or strategies? The biggest carbon footprint for us, we use a lot of delivery boys, 100,000 delivery boys. Hi everyone, welcome to Starter Stories India by Legal Pay. Today we have with us Mr. Deepak Goel, who's the Chief of Operations for Last Mile at Shadowfax. And about Shadowfax, Shadowfax is a pioneer force in the logistics and supply chain domain. And now without any further ado, I would like to pass on the mic and the platform to Deepak. So Deepak, if you could just introduce yourself and Shadowfax for our listeners and viewers.
Sure, Dhruv. Thank you. So, hi everyone. I'm Deepak. I take care of last mile in Shadowfax. Essentially, I think 17 years into the industry now, out of which 14 years I spent with Procter & Gamble, leading different functions from manufacturing to supply chain in different geographies. I spent almost 3 years of my life also in Russia. Very, very different experience, but very, very interesting experience. 3 years back, I joined Shadowfax. And I started my career in Shadowfax as leading the mid-mile, taking care of entire supply chain, both from first mile to sort centers to the line haul. And since last couple of years, I'm taking care of the last. So Shadowfax is a company. We are a tech stack company where we are leading the e-commerce logistics across Pan India, and we are helping several B2B clients and B2C clients to get into the interior parts of the country. We are present now across 16,000 pin codes, and we are delivering almost 1.3 million shipments every day, e-commerce shipments every day. So we have almost a rider workforce or delivery boy workshop workforce of 25,000. And the other unique thing about Shadowfax is that we are present across almost every delivery segment, and that's probably one of the unique strengths that we have. So we have presence in hyperlocal, we have presence in 30-minute delivery, we have presence in fact, we are the ones who actually pioneered the express delivery for several D2C clients. So yeah, that's what we do. We basically connect different parts of the country for all the customers and clients that we have.
I think that's great. I mean, I believe logistics is quite an important part, which does link everything for every industry. So logistics does play an integral. So just to get the ball rolling, I know the fact that you are an IIM alumnus, and I would just like to ask you if you could share about how your journey has been from P&G, where you did work for over a decade, and then you decided to join Shadowfax. How has that transition been for you? Specifically, with regards to, I believe your experience in IIM Mumbai would also have influenced your approach in understanding supply chain management and operations. So how do you apply the skills from, books to a real life scenario, which I feel is quite different in every industry, in every segment in life?
Sure. I think I'll split the question into two parts. One, you asked my journey from PNG to Shadowfax, which is a startup. And second, you said about my learning in IMLY, how I implemented that. So taking over the first part, you see, both are two very, very different worlds. PNG was a very different world. I think almost 150 years old company. Very, very well-established FMCG, very strong processes, worked in different geographies, very strong manufacturing systems, very strong supply chain planning systems. However, coming to a startup, you have to almost do everything from scratch, right? So when I joined Shadowfax 3 years back, since then, we have grown by almost 5x. Okay, that's right. And in that growth story, you have to you can imagine how much you have to build your teams, how much hiring you have to do, and how much capability development and the processes implementation you have. So I would say those are very, very different worlds. One world gives you a lot of learning because you have established processes. The other world is basically a lot of execution, right? Fast-paced execution. Now, if you are growing at 5x, whereas if a previous company, P&G, was growing at probably 10% year on year, and to grow at 5x, you are probably growing 50% year on year.
Right.
I think the pace at which you have to make decisions, pace at which you have to build teams, and pace at which you have to build processes is amazing. So I'm enjoying my experience here in startup. And in having said that, I think a lot of things that I'm doing here are a combination of the skill set that I learned while being in P&G for 13 years and also my time at Mumbai, right? So P&G being very, very established processes, I had the opportunity to learn a lot of things and see them in practice. And those are the learnings that I'm taking to Shadowfax as a startup. For example, if a supply chain planning has to be done, right? So I had that experience in P&G. Now I'm just taking that experience and learning and reapplying. If I talk about building the teams, right? So the people systems in P&G are exceptional, and a lot of things that I can take as a learning from there, I can simply reapply here. I had to build teams first in the network, in the supply chain, then in the last mile. And, the kind of leadership skills you need to have, the kind of execution skills you need to have in the teams, how to hire, what kind of interviewing skills you need to have. So all of that, I'm taking as a learning from my previous company, right? So a lot of learnings you can simply reapply. Now, talking about IIM Mumbai also, I think what IIM does is that it gives you a platform to network and to learn from your peers, from your cohort, and to also learn from the companies, because IIM Mumbai, or previously called as NITI, have a very, very established alumni network. And because of that, what you do is you get in touch with the industries quite a lot, right? So you get to act on a lot of case studies, you get to act on a lot of business, real problems, right? And you learn a lot from there, and you essentially build your skill set. So whatever I'm doing today is a combination of skills that I learned from this cohort, the peers in IIM Mumbai, as well as the learnings that we got from the real business scenarios that we learned there. Then I learned a lot of things from P&G as well. So I think definitely both the places have helped me quite a lot to establish what we are establishing right now in Shadowfax.
That's great. So now, speaking of the skill sets that you mentioned, even while being at IIM and also then at P&G and now subsequently at Shadowfax, now focusing on just one skill set, which is primarily leadership, and you as someone who has been deeply entrenched in the logistics sector, what pivotal lessons have you garnered throughout your career that have influenced your leadership?
To help you understand what lessons I've learned, I think we need to understand probably what leadership means for me, or what I think are the key aspects of leadership. To be very honest, in my opinion, leadership is all about leading by example, execution skills. Basically, when you lead by example, you need to learn the execution skills, right? So also knowing the topic in detail, so which is essentially called as also getting into details, but at the same time also getting out of the topic whenever needed, right? So we need to decide as a leader when to get into details, when not, right? And then also leadership for me is your leadership style of working with people, right? So as a leader, you are influencing probably thousands of people every day. At least as a last mile leader here, I'm influencing. So I'm leading a team of almost 1,500 people who are on roll for Shadowfax, and then another 45,000 delivery boys. So you have to influence thousands of people every day. So the question is, so how do you lead them? What is your unique style of leadership? And in my opinion, that unique style of leadership for me is respect for the skills of every person. And these are some of the things that I've learned over the years. Starting from lead by example, I think one thing that I'd learned over the years, spending 13 years, 14 years in supply chain and logistics, that if leaders are not on ground, they will not be able to understand what is right. So you have to be on ground. You have to ensure that you know your topics in detail. You have to understand that you know the technicalities of everything that you are doing, even if it is a planning activity. You know the technicalities of how the planning needs to be done, and then essentially you are getting involved in the day-to-day operations, right? So then also talking about respect for people. I think what I've learned over the last several years is that every person brings in a very, very unique skill set. You just have to understand what is that unique skill set and need to have a respect for that unique skill set. Right. So, and believe me, if you start working with people with the respect that they deserve, they go extra mile to deliver what they need. True. So I think those are certain skill sets that I've garnered and I'm trying to experience and share during my everyday life.
Right. So, I mean, that's just a personal question I wish to ask you. I mean, do you think a position makes a leader, or does a person, like you said, you mentioned respect and getting the team together and all of those things. So do you think it's just that a position uh, gives a person respect and leadership qualities, or is it a person's character and essence and the personality which basically takes them to a position of a leader? What do you think is more important to be considered as a leader in any industry, in any organization?
Well, if you ask me, in my opinion, it is the character of the leader that takes you high.
Right.
Right. So to be very, very honest, I come from a very humble background. I come from a very, very small town, not a born leader. A lot of learnings I had to do over the last 15, 16 years I've been here. Right. So having said that, you keep on getting higher and higher responsibilities and higher positions, but that will be possible only if you are successful. And in my opinion, you can be successful only if you are working well with people. There is no other way to be successful in logistics industry. Right? If you work well, you get success and you rise higher. So in my opinion, your character, your skill of working with people only gives you position.
Understood. So now coming back to the logistics sides of our conversation, do you believe that the Indian logistics sector lacks certain organization and faces challenges in various aspects such as transportation, cost, warehousing, labor, port issues, and regulatory hurdles, and all of those things? What do you consider the primary issue or a hurdle with regards to these challenges, and what steps do you think should be taken, or what steps do you think Shadowfax has taken to mitigate that in the current Indian scenario?
See, if I talk about the context of current e-commerce industry, I think there are very well-laid policies around. However, if you ask me, one or two specific challenges that the entire e-commerce industry will benefit if we solve are how to solve our infrastructure on the transportation. I mean, so transportation in today's scenario, most of the transportation is actually surface transportation. But at the same time, e-commerce is driven completely by speed. Okay. So when I say speed, when, for example, you as a customer order something on Amazon or Flipkart, you would want the product next day or probably the same day. Now, if the product is sitting in Delhi and you are sitting in Bangalore and you are transporting only by the road transport, there is no way that you can get the product next day, right? So now the only way to increase speed is either you start flying the product or you use alternate modes of transport like train. And the Indian government, over the years, last several decades, has established a very, very strong rail network across pan India. So Delhi to Bangalore train can take can reach possibly in 36 hours, whereas the road transport will be 50 hours, right? So the question is, how do we make use of that very well established train network to ensure that we are reaching our customers faster. Ultimately, customer happiness is our first priority, right? So we have to ensure that we reach our customers faster. But at the same time, we reach there at an affordable price, right? So, and that is one of the challenges that I felt when I handled the e-commerce supply chain. That even if there is possibility for us to use train network, I think there are several hurdles in terms of cost, in terms of the ease of use it.
Right.
I think there can be several steps that government can take to make the train network a little cheaper than road network, and possibly even make the uh, process of booking the trains, process of using the trains a little cheaper, process of loading and unloading on the stations a little cheaper, and very easier to use. I think this is one priority that India can focus on, that the trains can actually increase their share on the goods transport. If they do, overall the country will benefit. Apart from that, of course, the road infrastructure, if it improves, the speed will automatically improve, right? So road infrastructure, I think our government is doing a wonderful job of building highways. I have nothing to add on there. As that happens, obviously, speed will increase, and the cost will go down. But yeah, so those are the things that we can do. Now, talking from last one perspective, I think the other thing that we have as a country is a very, very well established India Post. And this is something that we are again lacking, that we are not utilizing the full potential of India Post. And this is where, again, if we make certain ease of use kind of policies for India Post, that we can get into the partnerships with certain private companies, we can get into the partnership with for some specific regions. I think there can be huge synergy between the e-commerce industry and the India Post, and that I think can be explored.
That's very insightful. Thank you, Deepak. So, I mean, keeping the conversation in mind, how would you like to state or tell our viewers how Shadowfax has established itself as a trailblazer in the logistics and supply chain sector, and has been especially considering and keeping in mind the last mile delivery solutions that you have provided throughout India.
Sure. See, I think one of the unique strengths of Shadowfax is that we're completely tech-in, right? And using our tech, essentially what we have done is we have democratized the entire supply portion of our delivery points, which means that uh, we have used our tech to build a platform where anybody can come and join and deliver the orders for us, even for 1 hour. Okay. So if you have time, if I have time, I can just simply go into the platform, join as a delivery boy, attach myself to the nearest delivery station that I have, and so we have democratized, and I think probably we are the first ones to do that. We democratize this completely using a tech, and hence what we do is, I think, phenomenal in terms of managing our supply whenever demand comes, right? So increasing or decreasing the supply whenever demand comes. We have a huge advantage, and this is one of the reasons that Shadowfax is possibly the cheapest logistics player in terms of cost across the country.
Right.
So we recently turned profitable also, and despite having the challenges of Indian last mile interior locations, we are able to manage our cost. We are the other thing that we also do is we use our strength in terms of being agile to plan our network very well. So we have a good mesh network that we can flexibly change as our demand pattern changes. So, and that helps us to manage our cost down. And what we're doing is, by doing all of this, we are passing on all of these advantages to our clients. So today, what happens is that all the cost advantages that we are getting through all of this, we are passing a big chunk of this to our clients, and we are essentially, despite being investing so much on speed or customer service, we are possibly still the cheapest products.
Right. So I mean, this is how
We are,
like,
yes, that is how we are actually disrupting the entire.
yeah, this is how you're revolutionizing the industry. That's great. So, I mean, in your opinion, how has the integration of AI and other advanced technologies impacted the logistics sector, and what role do you see these tools playing in the near future of Shadowfax and also the industry, given the positive trends such as technology adoption and sustainability focus in the logistics industry? How is Shadowfax especially leveraging these advancements to enhance its services and stay competitive?
Sure. See, I think in the logistics sector or the e-commerce sector, AI is everything, right? So you have uh, several fields where you can apply AI. The first field being associated with last mile, simplest that you can do is, I mean, India is such a complex geography and there are so many interior places.
Right.
The customers, where they are sitting in the rural areas, it's very difficult to identify the addresses a lot, right? So
Right.
what you can do is you can simply use the AI of when and where you have delivered your orders for the same customers and history. You can simply build an address intelligence around it. Uh, you can create your own maps around it, and that is how we are utilizing the artificial intelligence. That how do we keep on increasing our address accuracy, and how do we keep on increasing our delivery percentage using all of this, right? The other fields that you can simply apply AI is how do you optimize the routes for your riders so that while you are keeping the cost down, your rider still earns more by making more deliveries. So essentially, you
Right.
can increase the density of your riders,
Right.
right? So that everybody wins in the entire scenario.
Mm.
Then essentially, I touched upon our network, right? So we can utilize your uh, several analytical tools to ensure that you're planning your network for a very, very dynamic change of demand. Okay, so you can plan your line haul, you can plan your sort centers capacity based on what you think is going to be the demand pattern across the year, looking at seasonality, looking at the regional changes, regional festivals, right? So you can build a lot of things, and that is what we are trying to do. We are trying to integrate a lot of those learnings uh, to deliver a better customer experience for the industry.
Right. Right. That's great. Now, keeping in mind the environmental impact also, which is, I mean, I think that evergreen topic which can be discussed at any given point of time. And I know for a fact that Shadowfax does pride itself in its commitment to sustainability. Could you share an insights on some of the initiatives or strategies that you have implemented or Shadowfax has implemented to reduce its carbon footprint and promote eco-friendly practices in the industry and setting, an example and leading by example?
Sure. See, I think the biggest carbon footprint for us as a last mile operations or e-commerce company is that uh, we use a lot of delivery boys. Almost 45,000 is the fleet that I use only in e-commerce. But if I include hyperlocal, we are probably touching the likes of almost 100,000 delivery boys. And all of those delivery boys are using one or the other mode of, right? So that's our biggest carbon footprint. And that is where we are trying to implement or change at least a certain portion of our fleet to electric vehicles. Okay, so we recently launched in partnership with a company several EVs that we are deploying for our hyperlocal fleet. If successful, we'll expand that to e-commerce because e-commerce is usually a little bigger territory for the delivery boy to cover, and we need to ensure that there is sufficient charging to cover all of that. But yeah, so that is something that we are trying to do. We are trying to reduce our carbon footprint. We are trying to possibly convert almost 40-50% of our fleet to the EVs over the next 2-3 years. So that is something that we really have on our agenda, and we have focused effort on it.
Oh, understood. So, I mean, in your opinion, you do believe that EV is the future for reducing carbon footprint and also, having healthy eco-friendly practices.
Oh yes, definitely. I think the only challenge there is that the infra is not yet ready, and we
Right.
as a country need to build infra about it. So when I say infra, it would be in terms of the charging stations. I think the infra is recently coming up, but not yet fully there. When I say infra, it also means the right type of vehicles, right? So
Right.
as I said, EV will have its own limitations, how many kilometers it can run on a specific charge,
Right.
how long it can run, what are the safety features for a specific EV, etc., etc. Now, if you are a delivery boy in an e-commerce industry in a tier 3 city where you have to cover a lot of rural areas, right? So let's take even near Bangalore, for example, if you are in Hoskote, you have to go around several villages. And those villages, if you're covering as a delivery boy, it is quite possible that you might even have to run uh, 80 to 100 kilometers in a day, right? So your EV has to support that kind of mileage in a specific charge. So I think those challenges we still have to solve. But for the shorter distances within city travel, I think no doubt about it that it's already there. Uh, Today, if you go out on the road, you would already see that there are so many green plates. I feel so happy that these green plates are there. Whether it is cars, whether it is the delivery boys, I feel so happy that we are making that one step towards a greener future.
Right. Right. I mean, since we are on the topic of eco-friendly practices and EVs and sustainability, how do you tackle the rising fuel cost, which can significantly impact a logistic operation for Shadowfax or for anyone in the industry? And how do you mitigate the impact of these costs while keeping the services affordable for your customers?
See, as I said, I think as a tech company, you have to keep innovating, and that's what we have been doing, right? So, uh, I think for any company, you have to figure out what are your cost factors. Where will you get a cost increase because that is purely not in your control. Like fuel, as you said, is not in your control, right? So,
Right.
but what you can do is you can figure out how do you plan efficiently to mitigate those costs. Now, our history in Shadowfax has been that despite rising fuel costs, we have never passed on any of that cost to any of our. But we have been reducing our costs year on year despite staying, right? So the only way to do that is that you have to keep idle. So how your network is designed, how you ensure that your network keeps on changing to be more efficient, right? So you cannot be complex. Once you make a design, you cannot sit for 6 months and believe that your design. Right. So you have to, it's a very rapidly changing industry, and you have to ensure that you're relooking continuously at your designs and ensuring that your costs keep on coming down. The other thing is, as you said, your intra-city transport, your delivery boys transport. Can you do something cheaper there? Can you bring in EVs, right? Can you do your in-facility operations cheaper? So can you minimize the number of touches that you are doing in the So every shipment, ultimately, the number of people or the number of hands, more the number of hands a shipment gets touched by, the more the cost will be, right? So can you ensure that you are moving a shipment from pickup from a seller to a customer with zero touch?
Right.
We're not there yet. We can achieve that. Okay, you just pick up from the seller and it reaches to the customer straight. Why you do that? You don't need then essentially any facility in between, right?
Right.
That would be optimizing your costs.
Right. That would be direct funnel from a person to whoever he wants to send it.
Exactly. Just a futuristic design, just from the seller to the customer direct. Yeah, but is how do you minimize? So some companies simply are even doing 15 touches during their entire supply chain. Can you reduce that 15 to 7 as an example?
Right.
The lesser you do, the lesser number of people you will need, the more efficient.
Right.
So, and that is something that you keep on innovating. We have been innovating in Shadowfax to pass on the benefits of cost to our clients, or to even mitigate the rising costs of manpower, because it's not only fuel. The manpower cost in the country also keeps on increasing, right? The minimum wages keep on increasing. So this question is, how will you mitigate those costs by nobody.
Right. I mean, I hope you do achieve that future vision that you have, and uh, hope Shadowfax is the first one to bring that change in the world, not just India, but the entire world. Now, I just have one last question to ask you, Deepak. Considering the dynamics of the industry, infrastructure gaps can pose as a very serious challenge for the logistics company. And how does Shadowfax adapt its operation to overcome these infrastructure and limitations,
See, I think,
and also ensure timely deliveries? I think that's the
I think as a country, we are making leaps and bounds in terms of building the infrastructure, right? So, as a country, if I compare,
right.
10 years back, or about 15 years back, I think we have made a huge progress. And kudos to the government that's
Right.
our highways are becoming better, our trains are becoming faster, our airports, there are more and more airports being built across the country, right? So almost every major town in the city now is even connected by air, right? So I think
Yes,
the infrastructure is definitely improving.
being part of our podcast series, and it's been a wonderful time for me, and also a good learning experience.
Thanks, Dhruv. Thanks for this interactive session. I hope that for the other viewers also, it will be